most of us think we see reality exactly as it is, and that we are simply responding to what it is we see. But your mind isn't showing you reality. Your mind is showing you what you expect. Neuroscience tells us that there are 11 million bits of information that we receive per second, and we only consciously process 50 bits of information per second. We are seeing and experiencing a tiny fraction of reality. And the reality that I am seeing compared to the fraction that you are seeing are different. We're not even experiencing the same reality. So what is it that is determining what part of reality we are seeing? Because our identity is editing out information before we can even recognize that it's doing it. Our identity is the viewpoint with which we are looking at reality through. And the fraction of reality that we see and experience is the corresponding view to the viewpoint we are looking through. We cannot see anything other than the view our viewpoint is expecting to see. And the viewpoint is our identity. That lens which consciousness is perceiving itself through. The awareness that we are is looking through your individual, unique perspective and experiencing itself through that lens. And that lens is made up of thoughts, feelings, beliefs, memories, opinions, experiences. That is the lens that we look through. And all of those elements of the lens, that part of our identity, that who we think we are, the I am that we are attached to, all are connected to thoughts. Our thoughts are obviously thoughts. Our memories are thoughts. Our experiences are thoughts. This is good, this is bad, that was funny, that was upsetting, that was frightening, whatever the case may be. Whatever we experience, we have a thought about the experience. Our feelings come with thoughts. Our bodily sensations come with thoughts. Every experience that makes up that part of the lens that we are looking through creates a thought. Because our thoughts are the bridge between consciousness and physicality. And we are having tens of thousands of thoughts every single day. And for most people, those thoughts are unconscious, they are repetitive, and they are on autopilot. They say that 80% of the thoughts we had the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that. The more you think a thought, the more you think the thought. And the more you think that thought, the more reality confirms or reaffirms the thought that you have. Because reality is a mirror. It can only ever reflect the lens, the point of view that is looking through. So a lot of people think that they are thinking their thoughts, but most people's thoughts are thinking them. And if we can start to recognize the thoughts that we have, to make the unconscious, repetitive, autopiloted thoughts conscious, we can start to change them. The more we change our thoughts, the more we shift our consciousness to a different viewpoint, and then we can experience a different fraction of reality, especially if the one that you're experiencing right now is not preferable. It's one you'd rather not experience. Because different viewpoints have very different thought structures, thought narratives, internal speech. If you think about two people going to a party, and one thinks of themselves as awkward and the other one thinks of themselves as well liked, they will go into the same room with the same people and have very different experiences. One will see rejection while the other sees connection. One will notice silence while the other one notices smiles. Because our thought patterns and our thought processes influence a lot of what we do. They influence what we notice. They influence how we stand. They influence how we speak, what we say or don't say, what we do or don't do, how we respond or don't respond. Our thought patterns are the biggest influential aspect of our nature. They can direct our body, and they also direct our consciousness. They can direct what choices we make or do not make. And those choices determine the possibilities of what aspect of reality we can experience. If we make different choices, we're going to experience different fractions of reality. But if we're looping the same thoughts with the same feelings and the same memories and the same experiences, we're just going to continue looping and looping and looping. In Chinese medicine, they say that metal cuts wood. And metal is associated with our self-concept, our identity. It looks solid. It looks solid like a bar of metal. But it's not solid, because you can melt metal, and the way you melt it is through awareness. But back to the analogy, metal cuts wood. Wood is associated with our imagination, the part of us that can move beyond time and space, with possibilities, with choices. So our identity literally cuts us off from making other choices and experiencing other possibilities. The awkward guy at the party can look at the socially confident guy in the party and not even be able to conceive that he could be that guy. He just has to change the thought structures, the repetitive, autopiloted, self-narrating speech that is constantly running through his mind. And so, how do we do this? How do we start to catch our thoughts? And this is why affirming is a really strong technique in order to rewire your neuro pathways. The reason we keep thinking the same thoughts over and over again is because they are literally burned into our neuro network. And the way they get burned into our neuro network is through repetition or emotional intensity. It's both when we're growing up, but for this video, we're looking at repetition. And so this is why repeating certain affirmations can change your neuro network and create new connections in your brain, in your mind, new associations. And so you can go to the party and have a different experience. When we change the thoughts that we are having and affirm the thoughts that we would prefer to have, the thoughts which a different viewpoint, a different identity would naturally have, we can start to reprogram that thought pattern and change our viewpoint, change our experience of reality. And then through reaffirming a new thought structure, reality will begin reconfirming and reaffirming that change in thought process. So affirmations are super, super effective. It's just most people don't use affirmations correctly. If you're anything like me, you might read an affirmation that sounds good on Instagram one day, take 10 seconds to read the affirmation, resonate with it, and then spend the rest of your 18 waking hours thinking thoughts that are in complete contradiction to that affirmation. Because they're the natural repeated thoughts. They are the default network, if you like. So to choose a thought or idea or opinion about yourself that is opposing a current thought or idea that you have about yourself is one way to rewire your thought process and to repeat that over and over. It's also a good way to focus your mind and slow your mind down, because most people have so many thoughts that they're unaware of, and if they try and sit down to meditate, they're suddenly aware of all those thoughts, and they don't want to meditate because those thoughts are generally not thoughts they want to be thinking. Affirmations allow you to focus your conscious awareness onto one sentence or two sentences, repeated over and over and over and over for 5-10 minutes, however long you want to sit for. And by the end of that process, you've created enough focus and attention to then meditate with a much quieter mind. The more you meditate, the slower your thoughts become, the more conscious you become of those thoughts, the more you are aware of the thoughts that arise that you would rather not have, that you would rather not keep reaffirming. So affirming works for the mind, meditation works with your consciousness. Once you can start to slow your thoughts down to the degree that you can not have any thoughts, you can start to take that space and quietude into your day-to-day experience. You get much, much better at being present, at having very few thoughts, at being able to choose what thoughts you do have and when you have them. And you also see little stragglers, old thoughts if you like, when they arise, so that you can catch them and release them. And this is another good practice to be able to do, is to see when thoughts come up, to catch them and to let them go, to simply choose another thought to think. Another thought to think, yeah. And through this process you start to change the viewpoint that you are looking at life through. The architecture of life remains the same. You might still experience the same people and the same events and the same circumstances, at least for a while, but your response to them is very, very different. So it becomes less a question of why is this happening to me, or why does life keep doing this to me, and more a question of what is it that my self-concept is allowing me to see or not see.